What's up, Infected? It's Wolf of the Quarantine, and today I'm going to be taking a look at a game that was sent to me to review by the name of Mare Nostrum Empire. Now, Mare Nostrum Empires is an empire building game where you take control of one of the ancient leaders. So you have Rome, Greece, Egypt, Carthage, and the Byzantine Empire. And you all are vying for supremacy, basically. And you can win by either having 5 heroes in your office, by building the Great Pyramids, which is funny because you can have the Great Pyramids in like Greece, or if you are the leader in all 3 of your tracks, because you have the trade track, the build track, and the military track. Something similar to a Game of Thrones, actually, where you have 3 different tracks, and whoever's at the top gets a really cool benefit. Or if you have conquered 4 of the capitals around the world. Now, as I'd mentioned, whoever's at the top of each one of these 3 tracks is going to basically have this say over who gets to go first. So it's really beneficial to maybe have the most caravans out, because you're going to get to initiate trade first, where everybody takes these tokens that are goods, and you all put so many of them out, and the trade master gets to decide how many everybody must put out. And then the trade master gets to take one first, and then somebody else, whoever I took from, then gets to choose somebody to take from. And then they get to take from somebody, and you go around and around until everybody has the same number. And then when it goes into the build track, whoever is the top of the build track gets to say who gets to build first, which could be a really interesting diplomatic kind of throwing around your weight, because if you're trying to appease me, or maybe if you made me angry, so I let him build first, and he builds things in a territory that you wanted to claim, so now it's just that much harder. Then, once everybody's done with their building, then whoever's on the military track, whoever's at the top of that, they get to decide who gets to do their military maneuvers first, which is incredibly powerful. So you can form alliances that way, and then betray each other and stab each other in each other's back. And all of this while you're trying to achieve one of those goals, where you're either trying to recruit a bunch of heroes, which gets progressively more expensive, or whether you're trying to build the pyramids, or whether you're just on a war rampage trying to just destroy everything. There's just so much going on. Now, one of the things that the game does use is there's a bunch of different types of goods. But one thing that is going to confuse a lot of people, those goods, what they are is meaningless. You just have to have different types of goods, and that's what you're looking for. So let's head to the final thoughts. So if you haven't already seen, if I remember, I'll put a link up here, or maybe down in the description, I'm not sure. I do have a stream of us playing through this, me and several of my friends playing through this for the first time. The only thing I had done prior to this is I read the rules, and we played through it, so there may be some minor rules mistakes in that stream. But also just know, it is a very not safe for work stream. There's lots of bad language, lots of inappropriate comments and jokes and stuff like that. So if you're easily offended, if you're children around or at work or anything like that, probably don't want to watch it. Wait till a little bit later. But there is that up here, like I said, or maybe down in the description if I remember. Definitely check that out if you want more of how the game is played. Also note, it took us almost a little more than double the time, the 90-minute time frame that it recommends. It's purely because we were learning the rules and trying to stumble our way through, and there was a whole bunch of banter and BSing. So just keep that in mind. But what do I think about the game? Well, Mare Nostrum Empires, I'm not going to beat around the bush. I think this game is fantastic. I did not expect to like it as much as I did, but when I first opened up the box, one of my favorite mechanics in a Game of Thrones, the board game, is the 3 tracks. The fact that whoever's at the top of the track gets cool power, they get some bonuses, gives them some sway and a little bit of weight to throw around the table. This game has a very similar thing. If you have the most trade stuff, camels and caravans and trade posts and everything out, you're going to go up to the top of the trade track. if you have the most buildings that you've built, whether it's the chapels, I think they're called, or the little cities, you're going to be at the top of the build track. Or if you have the most military units out, you're going to be at the top of the military track. But then, of course, heroes are going to alter these as well. And whoever's at the top of those tracks, whoever is the most, they're going to get a lot more say. For example, the trade leader is going to get to decide how many goods everybody must trade, which is a big distinction. And they're going to get to select first. And once they select, then that player that I selected from, they get to pick from somebody. And then that person gets to pick from somebody. And you keep doing that, picking with a couple extra rules until everybody's got the same number of goods. Then when you move into the build phase, whoever is the top of the track is the build master. They get to say who gets to build first, whether it's themselves or somebody else, which could be huge, because if there is a neutral territory between two factions, and you maybe didn't anger me or whatever, for whatever reason you and me have an alliance, I can select you to go ahead and build instead of them, so that way you can drop your marker in there before they can. They can no longer do that. They have to invade it. But the military track, whoever's the most of those, gets to decide who does the military actions. So kind of the same thing. Maybe I'm planning a betrayal, so I let everybody else go first, and then I choose myself to go last and swoop in. Or maybe I know that you need to attack first, but you made me angry because you took my city a couple turns ago. Or maybe you built the leader that I wanted, or whatever. You wouldn't get the trireme out of the ocean, or whatever. You get the idea. So I make you go last, so you get screwed in the whole ordeal. And I love that. I love when games do stuff like that. And then I love the fact that the ending conditions, there are 5 or 4 different ending conditions. You win if you have 5 heroes, if you build the pyramids, if you are the top of all 3 tracks, or if you gain control of 4 capitals and or legendary cities. If you control 4 of them, then you just win as well. So between all of those, there's a lot of different varying strategy on how you're going to play, how are you going to approach this. And it gives a lot of versatility, and there's always going to be a point in time when you look at the board and go, oh crap, they only need 2 more heroes to win. But then you're saying that because maybe if you play your cards right in a turn or 2, you'll be at the top of all 3 tracks, so you don't want anybody to know. So let's focus on that guy. Hey, he's only got 1 or 2 heroes left. Or, oh god, so-and-so's getting 11 different types of goods every turn. They're close to building the pyramid, and you're pushing that off to somebody else. But it also could be true, or probably is true. So you're all like stressing out about, okay, who are you going to try to betray? Who are you going to be friends with? And there's so much going on. It is so much fun. Now, the game does have a few problems. Now, this first one isn't so much of a problem, but it is something that I do want to make sure I make known, because we did have a little bit of a stumbling block with this for a few people. Some people may have a little bit of trouble wrapping their head around the fact that, because you're getting all these types of goods, and you're thinking, I want diamonds, and these are super rare, and this, that, and the other. But the good itself, generally speaking, leaders break these rules, but generally speaking, the type of good does not matter. It is irrelevant. You want different types of goods to be able to build your stuff. So if I want to build something that costs 3, I need 3 different types of goods. Doesn't matter what those goods are. I just need 3 different types. So you're trying to have a wide variety of types of goods. So a couple people that I played with had a hard time that it doesn't feel intuitive, so just know that going. Another flaw that we had with the game was, as I mentioned earlier, a Game of Thrones board game. I love that game. I love the card-based combat as well. It's deterministic combat. It's my favorite style of combat, because that way I don't feel that I lost because of crappy luck. I lost because I got outplayed, and I like that. I feel like it's got more strategy behind it, more weight. This is dice-based combat. So just know there is dice, so if you don't like dice-based combat, you may not care for this game. However, with the war in the game, I had a problem with it, but it was also still very, very enjoyable, because it's not, generally speaking, it's not a make or break. With that said, we did have a couple instances where an attack tried to go through, and they outnumbered their opponent 4 or 5 to 1 or something like that, and still lost the fight. So because of that, I don't think it was that much. I think it was 3-1, but they still lost the fight. They just could not break these defenses because of dice rolls. So I'd like to see like maybe a mini expansion that replaces the dice with cards for people like me who want deterministic combat, but keep the dice in there for the people who do like the dice-based combat instead. And the last minor little gripe that we did have with the game is there is a lot of symbols all over everything. Most of them are pretty simple. If you see a symbol next to a camel, that's what you get if you build a trade route there. Coins next to cities, you're just going to get the coin at the beginning of every round, stuff like that. But it's mainly the leaders. But you also have this that has all of the leaders and all of the wonders that you can build and what they do. And those symbols are meant to be, you can glance at it. Once you already know what they do, you can glance at it and go, okay, it makes more sense now. But just know that, you know, there are quite a bit of symbols. So I've heard Mare Nostrum Empires called a Euro game, a Euro war game. And I generally try to shy away from the whole Ameritrash and Euro, but I could definitely see how this is a Euro-style war game with a dash of Ameritrash, I guess. But no, it is a fantastic game. Even with the potentially imbalanced heroes, basically you play to your hero strength is really how you're going to be playing, so you kind of cope with that. You make alliances based around that, stuff like that, so you play around it. And then on top of that, you get heroes or new heroes added to your powers to kind of compensate for that. But there's so much tension throughout the whole game. To give you an idea, one of the players at one point, it got in our stream here, you'll notice there's a lot of laughter, a lot of banter, ha 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 ha, and then it hits a point in the game where everybody shuts up and it gets real quiet. Because the stakes start rising and everybody starts like, oh crap, well, I need to start doing this and I need to pay more attention to this. And there's so much going on. It is such a fantastic game. Minus it's a few slight little flaws, I highly recommend Mare Nostrum Empires. Anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I'll see you guys next time in the quarantine.